Okay, welcome to the deep dive. We've got this great set of sources. You shared some articles, a video transcript, all about Athens and some really fascinating places nearby. Our mission here is, well, to really dig into this material, pull out the key insights, and give you a feel for how ancient history and modern life really collide there.
In Athens, I mean, it's not just any city, is it? It's often called the birthplace of Western civilization. Our sources really drive home that 3,000 plus year history.
Yeah.
Think philosophy, democracy, art, architecture. So much foundational stuff started right there. The past isn't just history, it's like woven into the city itself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So get ready. We're going to climb ancient citadels, wander through lively neighborhoods, maybe take a couple of detours. Just imagine you're exploring these sources right alongside us. Let's jump in.
All right. Well, leading the way, you kind of have to start with the Acropolis, right? The sources describe it as the ancient citadel, the high city. It just dominates the skyline. It wasn't only for worship, but also, a place of refuge.
It feels like the symbol of Greece's golden age, that 5th century BC period under Pericles. What did the sources say about actually getting up there, the main route?
Well, they mentioned the Panathenaic Way. That was the ceremonial path. Grand processions would wind their way right up to the top, heading for the religious center.
And at the summit, the Parthenon. Wow. The sources called it maybe the finest temple in antiquity. For Athena, 5th century BC, still standing, still being restored, fighting off pollution.
Yeah, and it's amazing to think, based on what we read, that it wasn't originally that sort of bleached white stone we see now.
Right.
It was vividly painted and covered in these incredible sculptures like the Parthenon marbles. It must have been just breathtaking, a real statement.
And right near it, the Erechtheion. The sources noted its unique style, dedicated to both Athena and Poseidon. But the real showstopper,
Yeah.
those caryatids, right.
Oh, definitely. The Porch of the Caryatids. Those 6 female figures as columns, they're iconic. And here's a little detail from the sources. Apparently, the Panathenaic procession actually culminated at the Erechtheion, not the Parthenon.
Okay, that shifts things a bit, doesn't it?
It does, and to really understand everything up there, the sources highlight the Acropolis Museum down at the foot of the hill. It's essential, they say, for context and seeing the original artifacts. Really brings it all to life.
Okay, so coming down from the high city, you land in the ancient Agora. The material described this as like the absolute core of old Athens, much
Yeah.
more than just a market. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. For what, 800 years? Starting around the 6th century BC, this was the place. Commerce, politics, social life, it all happened here. Democracy was practiced here.
Philosophers.
Philosophers debated here. Socrates, Plato, Aristotle. They walked these grounds, discussed everything from politics to, well, the nature of reality, shaping Western thought right here.
Wow. Just imagining Socrates holding court. The sources also mentioned the Stoa of Attalos. What's the significance there?
Well, a lot of the Agora is, ruins,
Right.
the Stoa. It's been rebuilt, and it houses the Agora Museum, which is great because it helps you picture the whole scene. These long covered walkways, colonnades, offering shade, places to shop, hang out, listen to the philosophers. It makes it feel like a real living space again.
And smack in the middle of the Agora, you have the Temple of Hephaestus, one of the best preserved temples anywhere, apparently. From around 400 BC, housed statues of Hephaestus and Athena, the sources said.
And looking at these buildings, you really see that evolution of Greek architecture. The sources had that handy guide to the orders, remember? Doric, Ionic, Corinthian.
Oh, yeah. Doric is flat, Ionic has the scrolls, Corinthian's got the leaves.
Exactly. Simple way to track it. They get fancier and gain a syllable as they develop.
Huh, I like that. But yeah, walking the Agora, it's not just looking at columns, is it? It's like stepping back in time, your chance to connect with all that history.
Definitely. And just below the Acropolis, another key site, the Theater of Dionysus. The sources called it the world's oldest theater, the actual origin point of Western drama.
Incredible. Standing there, you could almost hear the echoes. Okay, so let's jump from ancient stones to modern Athens. Syntagma Square came up a lot in the sources. What's the story there?
That's the modern heart of the city. You've got the Greek Parliament building there, which was actually the old royal palace. Athens became the capital, after independence from the Ottomans in the early 1800s.
And the name Syntagma, it means constitution.
Yeah.
From that riot in 1843.
That's the story, yeah. People demanded a syntagma, a constitution, and the king supposedly granted it right there from the palace balcony, so Constitution Square.
And right up front, the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, the F-Zone's guards. Their uniforms are,
Yeah,
well, there's something else.
they really are. And the sources pointed out that detail about the kilt, the fustanella.
The 400 pleats.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
One for each year of Ottoman rule. Such a powerful symbol.
It really is. And watching the changing of the guard ceremony with that unique strut, it's quite a spectacle, apparently. Very Athens.
Yeah, tradition and performance. Then, for a totally different atmosphere, the sources talked about the Plaka neighborhood, right below the Acropolis. Sounds lovely.
Oh, it does. Described as this maze of narrow, cobbled streets. Shops, cafes, restaurants, like a village tucked away in the city. Great for wandering, maybe picking up souvenirs.
Or some food.
Yeah.
They clarified souvlaki versus gyro. Souvlaki's the skewer.
And gyro means turning, for the meat shaved off the spit.
Right.
Huh.
The gyro pita with the tzatziki. It sounds like perfect street food, just like they said.
And apparently, higher up in Plaka, there's that little area, Anafiotika,
Yeah.
built by islanders who came for work.
Oh.
Sounds like a hidden gem. Tiny houses, flowers, cats. Really peaceful, right under the Acropolis walls.
It sounds like the city's really made some efforts recently, too. The sources mentioned pedestrianizing streets like Move, tackling pollution, sprucing up the museums.
They did. And the public transport got good reviews, too. That sleek metro system. A real help in a busy city like Athens. Moves almost 1 million people a day, they said. Efficient.
Okay, museums. Essential for the deeper dive, right? The National Archaeological Museum seemed like the big one.
Yeah, absolutely. It covers this huge sweep of Greek art history, like 7,000 BC up to 300 AD. Amazing Mycenaean gold funeral art. They mentioned the Fafio gold cups and that warrior vase.
Oh, yeah, the vase from the 12th century BC.
Yeah.
With the women waving goodbye to soldiers. Timeless scene.
Exactly. And looking at the art itself, the sources laid out that evolution pretty clearly. You start with the Archaic period, maybe 600 BC, those stiff figures, the Korus and Korae.
Right, very formal, almost identical features, a sort of quirky smile.
Then you get the Golden Age, 480, 400 BC, Pericles, Socrates. The focus shifts to balance, the golden mean, much more lifelike, that contrapposto pose where the weight shifts, that incredible bronze Poseidon of Artemision as a prime example, just perfect balance.
And then, after Alexander the Great's conquests, the Hellenistic period kicks in, around 330 BC. Things get less formal, more individual, more emotional.
Yeah, more exuberant, like that bronze horse and jockey of Artemision. So much movement and drama. It's fascinating how the art really does seem to reflect the times, the philosophy, the politics.
Seeing it all laid out like that in the museum, it must really give you a sense of history unfolding.
It really does.
Okay, let's talk side trips. The sources gave us 2 interesting ones. First up, Delphi, about 2 hours northwest of Athens.
Yeah. And Delphi wasn't really a city, more a hugely important ancient sanctuary, home to the Oracle of Apollo, god of the sun, perched dramatically on Mount Parnassus.
And people came from all over the ancient world for advice.
That's right. They'd walk up the sacred way towards the Temple of Apollo, and along that path, various city-states built treasuries, little buildings to house offerings, basically saying thanks for the oracle's help.
And there was that myth about Zeus's eagles meeting there, marking it as the center of the world.
The omphalos, yeah, the belly button of the world. It really underscores how central they believed Delphi to be. The oracle was incredibly powerful, especially between the 6th and 4th centuries BC. Leaders wouldn't make big moves without consulting it.
So how did the oracle actually, work? The sources had some details.
Well, the description was that a priestess inside the temple would inhale these vapors, the maybe natural gases seeping from the earth, which put her in a trance.
Yeah.
And she'd apparently start babbling, speaking incoherently. Then the priest would interpret that as divine prophecy.
Right. But the sources also suggested something else was going on, like the priests were gathering intel.
Yeah, that was a fascinating idea, that because people came from everywhere, the priests were constantly debriefing them about their homelands, their political situations. So Delphi essentially became this huge information hub.
An ancient database.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Which allowed the priests to give advice that seemed supernaturally well-informed because, well, it was informed. Adds a layer of human cleverness to the whole mystical process, doesn't it?
It really does.
Yeah.
But Delphi wasn't just the oracle, right? There were games, too.
The Pythian Games, yes. Similar to the Olympics, a big pan-Hellenic festival. But Delphi's games also included competitions in music and poetry alongside the sports.
Ah, a balance of things, as the sources put it.
Exactly. They had a huge theater seated 5,000 and a stadium for 7,000 people. So it was this major center for religion, athletics, and the arts.
A real multi-purpose hub for the ancient Greek world.
Oh, definitely.
Okay, second side trip. Totally different vibe. The island of Hydra. You get there from Piraeus, Athens' port, which the sources called an exciting springboard itself.
Yeah, you can hop on a fast hydrofoil like a flying dolphin, takes about 90 minutes, or a slower ferry. The main town is also called Hydra, and that's where most of the island's, 3,000 residents live.
And the big thing everyone mentions, no traffic. Like, none.
No cars, no motorbikes, that's the rule. Donkeys are the main way to move heavy stuff or give people rides. The town itself sounds gorgeous. Classic Greek harbor, rocky hills, whitewashed buildings, yachts. A real mix.
Sounds like a maze of little cobbled streets. And it has a surprising history connected to the sea, doesn't it?
It really does. It used to be a major naval power, famous for shipbuilding. During the War of Independence against the Turks in the early 1800s, Hydra's fleet, 130 ships, was crucial.
Wow. From warships to an artist's retreat?
Yeah.
Since the 60s, apparently.
Yeah, quite the shift.
Yeah.
And the sources suggested walking is the way to explore. Old paths connecting villages, churches, monasteries. Sounds lovely in spring with wildflowers.
They mentioned a coastal path to a little fishing village, Kamenia.
Sounds very picturesque. And they even recommended a specific taverna.
Oh, yeah. Which one?
Taverna Leonidas. Supposedly the oldest, most traditional place. Used to be where sponge divers hung out. No sign needed, apparently. Just classic food lamb, shrimp, calamari, spanakopita. The owners treat you like family, the sources said.
Well, that sounds amazing. Eating food like that, maybe sipping some ouzo, watching the sunset over the harbor. No cars, just peace. The sources really sold that island escape idea.
They really did. A very different kind of history and charm compared to Athens or Delphi.
So, wrapping up this deep dive.
Yeah.
We've covered a lot of ground, haven't we? From the Acropolis Heights and the Agora's ancient buzz to modern Athens around Syntagma and Plaka, those incredible museums, and then out to the Oracle at Delphi and the quiet island life of Hydra.
We've really seen how Athens blends its, 3,000 years of history, the Parthenon, the Agora, these physical reminders with the pulse of a modern city. We touched on those huge ideas born there, democracy, philosophy.
Right on those stones where it happened.
Exactly. And how places like Delphi were so central, not just for prophecy, but for culture and festivals like the Pythian Games. And Hydra with its unique naval past and that car-free tranquility.
The sources gave us so many memorable little details, too. The caryatids holding up the porch, Delphi is the world's belly button, those 400 pleats. Helps it all stick, doesn't it?
It really does. These aren't just sights, they're places full of stories, full of character.
Truly layers upon layers to discover. Makes you think about the power of place itself.
And that actually brings up, I think, a really interesting question to ponder, based on everything we've gone through from the sources. How does actually being in the places where these foundational ideas, democracy, philosophy, drama, were first debated and lived out, how does that change your understanding of those ideas today?
Ooh, that's a great question to leave everyone with. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive, digging into these sources on Athens and beyond. We hope you enjoyed the journey and maybe have a few things to mull over yourself